Welcome to A Different Life, a window into the world of persons with disabilities. I'm your host, Dr. Christine Hendricks. Today, we'll look at adult skills training and the work of the Abilities Foundation. We are joined today by Managing Director of the Foundation, Susan Hamilton. Stay with us. In 2001, an estimated 6% of the population in Jamaica was identified as having a disability. That's 160,000 persons. Of these individuals, however, less than 1% is in paid employment, making the community of persons with disabilities one of the most vulnerable groups in Jamaica. Two of the key areas of the Disabilities Act are the right to education and training and the right to employment. The director for the Abilities Foundation, Susan Hamilton, now joins us to talk about these. So tell us about the Abilities Foundation. What is it and what are the objectives?
The Abilities Foundation is the only institution of its kind in Jamaica and in the English-speaking Caribbean where we cater to persons with all disabilities. Mm-hmm. So where you would have a school for the blind or a school for the deaf, Abilities has all disabilities represented at the school.
Right.
Our main focus is skills training and to ensure that they get quality education and training and then transition them to the workforce.
Are there any particular partners that you work with to ensure that this training takes place?
Well, it would be remiss of me to not mention that Abilities cannot stand on its own, mm-hmm. because Abilities was formed by the disability sector, mm-hmm. with all the partners coming together to make sure that children who are leaving high school or leaving other schools with disabilities would find a space to train and then transition to work. Right. So it's a group of all the sector partners, and our main partners in terms of budgetary support is the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, mm-hmm. the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, and Heart Trust. Now, Heart Trust NSTA, we have a symbiotic relationship with right. them. So we can't function without them because they are the national training agency. Right. They give us a subvention to facilitate training. The Ministry of Labor and Social Security, they assist us with a consistent subvention to keep operations running.
Great. So have you been finding that this support is all that you need, or are there other things you think you would need?
Well, in all honesty, special needs is very expensive, mm-hmm. and no government can really budget for special ed. It needs consistent support from all the partners and sometimes outside donor organizations. So primarily what we do is to ensure that we are consistently writing projects right. to fund the programs. We are always asking for donor support. Mm-hmm. And then the students themselves, we have a student population of where about 50% of the students fall below the poverty line. Right. So it's not just about the operations, it's about the people, mm-hmm. the students in the school that need for other partners to journey with them, whether it be scholarships, bursaries, provision of lunch money, provision of transportation costs. Mm-hmm. So it's a holistic approach that we have to take to ensure the operations, continue.
Okay, so let us get back to the students. What are the age groups that we're looking at?
We start at 17 upwards. Mm-hmm. We take persons in their 60s. We have had persons at the foundation in their 70s.
Wow.
Because you will be able-bodied one day, and the next day you are disabled. So we have quite a few elderly clients that will come in that have developed or acquired a disability later in life. And then we have those students that come from the special need feeder schools.
Right.
And they are usually, they want to get the training at abilities. So it's a wide array. We don't discriminate gender. There is a wide a range of students that come to the school.
What's your intake process like?
Okay. Every May, we sensitize our feeder schools that they need to come in and register. All students have to have their TRN, their vital documents. And I'm glad you asked that question, because so many of our population, they have no vital documents.
True.
And so we need to ensure that our children are registered, especially those with disabilities. We require them now to have a bank account, because with the ongoing pandemic, they get a stipend from Heart Trust. And so they need a bank account for funds to be deposited to their account. And we find that the parents need a lot of support in navigating that space, how to get their TRN, how to get their NS, how to get their banking information collated. So it's a process that we journey with them. We assist them in getting the bank account. We have a very good relationship with NCB, and most of our students now have bank accounts.
So it is a more holistic development of the individual with a disability, and not just focused on the training itself.
Exactly.
Which is excellent. Yes. So tell me about the team that you work with there at the Abilities Foundation.
I have the best team in the whole world.
Yes.
Because the instructors at Abilities are not the ordinary instructors. Each class will have about 5 different disabilities.
Right.
So we have those students that have physical disabilities. We have mild mental illness, those students that may have depression, schizophrenia, but they're being monitored by their doctor. We have those students that have intellectual disabilities and are on the autistic spectrum. We have those low vision, blind, hard of hearing and deaf, and those with learning disabilities. We have found over the last couple of years that those students in state care, when they are assessed in state homes, they have learning disabilities, and so we have quite a number of students from state care facilities as well.
Okay, so how do they manage? That's a team. How do they manage with that wide array of persons with disabilities? Because each needs something different. So how does that work?
It is very challenging because some of the teachers have the requisite training in special ed.
Right.
And so we have to consistently build on capacity through staff training. We expose them to special needs workshops, and we try and empower them. Most of my teachers are all qualified now.
Excellent.
And they're continuing the learning process. In addition to the teaching staff, we have a social enterprise, which is Herb Time, where we plant organic vegetables and herbs. And so we have that team there. We have a farm hand, we have a project assistant, we have a social enterprise manager, and of course the accounting and admin staff. So everybody at Abilities has about 3 or 4 different roles. Right. So that's it.
Awesome. So it is an awesome job managing all of that and ensure that everything is in sync and providing the support the students need. That is an excellent start, to the conversation about Abilities Foundation. We'll have to take a short break right now. Stay with us. Welcome back to A Different Life. Still with us in studio is Managing Director for the Abilities Foundation, Susan Hamilton. Thank you for staying with us.
Yes, thank you.
So let us delve a little bit more into Abilities Foundation and what it provides. So talk to us about the different vocational training areas that you provide for the students.
Abilities Foundation, we provide training in furniture making, design and decor, data operations, beauty services, housekeeping, and currently we are working on graphics and web design. We are continually looking to diversify the product, and we have major goals. Even with the pandemic ongoing, we are still looking to expand services in food prep, computer graphics, and web design.
Okay, quite an array there.
Yes.
And we have enough students to cover all the areas and are interested in all those areas.
Definitely, especially food prep. Every year we have a waiting list, so that is way up on our list of objectives to meet for 2022-23.
Okay, awesome. So how many students do you have now?
Currently, it's at its lowest. We have 59 students. Normally, we would have up to 89, 90 students prior to the pandemic.
Right.
But what we have found is that since January 2022, that parents are calling in and they are very excited about getting their young persons back into school.
Okay.
So we are expecting a influx of new students come September.
Okay, that is very good. That is very good. So before we go into workplace inclusion, tell me about the certification process that our students will have to go through. So after they're trained, what happens?
Well, they are trained under the Heart Trust program,
Right.
the CTI program. Abilities Foundation is a 2-year training program, and it's based on unit competencies, meaning that if the student can only manage to do units, they will get their unit competencies. If they can manage to do the full NVQJ certification, they will also be able to do that. Currently, we are in discussions with Heart Trust to start the job certification program. And we are looking at that for the first quarter of 2022. The process is just as with any heart institution. The only thing is that we make reasonable accommodation for our clients.
Right.
And also we provide supportive services. So for example, our blind students may have a writer. Our students with cerebral palsy may also have a reader-writer. So we make sure we have due accommodations for these students.
How do you ensure that in terms of this reasonable arrangement, because the Disabilities Act does speak to the fact that reasonable arrangements must be made in education and training, how do you ensure that the person who is providing the support is not the one that's doing the exam or the,
The invigilation process is very strict, and they have to write just what the student is dictating to them.
Right.
And what we have found as well is that the assessors from Heart are very understanding. So they do give us additional time,
Right.
and they allow the students to express themselves. In discussions with Heart Trust as well, they make accommodations for oral exams. So if the student is only able to express themselves orally, they are able to do exams.
This is
based
awesome,
on that.
Did you know that this could benefit other students as well? Because there
Yes.
are actually students who may not have disabilities who would
need.
benefit from, oral exams. They are not able to sit a paper-based exam at all or sit to write an exam. But if you ask them,
Yes.
they'd be able to do
And
so well.
I think it's something not just for abilities. The act is so wide, and not just with vocational training, but from primary right up, that reasonable accommodations must be made.
Indeed, indeed. Awesome. So talk to us now about your workplace inclusion program.
Well, I have to say, and I must give credit to the private sector. What we have found at Abilities is that the private sector, they really want to hire persons with disabilities, but they don't know how. They look for advice from us. And during the Workforce Inclusion Project funded by the World Bank from 2014 to 2018, we were able to go to the workplaces and sensitize them about the benefits of hiring persons with disabilities.
Yes.
And so we have a solid relationship with some of our partners, and for example, NCB. When we spoke to them, they said that now, when they put out an ad, they will say persons with disabilities are encouraged to apply.
Isn't that amazing?
And we have had persons from Pepper Time across the road from us call us and say, we want to hire persons with disabilities. So I think the arrangements that we have made and the friendships and partnerships that we have cultivated over the years, it has given us a leverage where we can call these employers and say, listen, we have excellent graduates coming out.
Right.
Would you be willing to hire them? I think what we need to look at as well is stipend support, work stipend support, because especially now during the pandemic, a lot of these businesses are hurting, and we should be able to give them some form of an incentive in hiring persons with disabilities. I think it's something we need to look at.
That is something for consideration as we move forward with this Disabilities Act, to encourage employers to hire persons with disabilities, because they do bring an excellent excellent skills and a contribution to the workspace.
Right, and I have to boast that during the pandemic, we transitioned a dozen students to the workplace.
Awesome.
September to December, and they are now working. And Emancipation Park, they have about 8 of our graduates, and all 8 of them were given houses through the NHD. So persons with disabilities are productive.
Indeed.
They are mortgage payers. They are paying their mortgages. They are going to the supermarket, and they need to be able to work.
So they are contributing to the economic development of our country. So those are some of your success stories too.
Yes.
You know, the fact that employers have been able to come to you because the program is no less. You know, the skill level is no less, even if it is an oral exam that they do. It shows that they understand the concept of what they're doing, and they're able to deliver. Great. So I noticed earlier you spoke about the pandemic and how it has, you know, you've had to adjust, you know, as time progressed. Tell us some more of these adjustments that you've had to make, you know, during this pandemic.
When the pandemic hit in 2020, we of course, as with any other educational institution, we had to pivot really fast to online learning. And during that time, of course, you know, the lack of devices, the training of teachers to manage the online modality, we had a lot of teething pains. But through training and partnership with the Teaching Council, with the Ministry of Education, we were able to get support in training our teachers, training our parents as well, how to log on to Zoom, how to use the online platform. But face-to-face is the preferred mode of instruction. And with especially furniture making, where, you know, those big machines, they don't have them at home. So we have had to, on a trial basis, have those students doing limited face-to-face. Currently, we're in trial right now with the face-to-face. However, I need to say here that transportation is a major issue for our students. Those with intellectual disabilities, we need the special services to come fully on stream now, because by March, all of our students will be out, and they need the special services, the bus system to be able to transport these students safely. I am hoping that, you know, our partners, the JUTC,
that has these special buses, will really be rolling out.
Right.
So our students can benefit, from the face-to-face.
And that also will impact work.
Indeed.
Because we have students who are have physical disabilities and they can't get to work if there's no transportation. And we know that, it's slowly coming back on stream, but we need to move very fast on the transportation issue.
Awesome. So much to say, so much to talk about.
Yes.
But finally, what can the community of persons with disabilities look forward to as abilities, transitions and pivots and, just moves forward?
Well, I think we have had a very exciting year because with our online modality, we have gotten interest clients as far as India.
Ooh.
Clients in Belize that have registered already for our computer graphics course. So it's not just about Jamaica.
Right.
It's about it's about reaching other clients in the region. And I think we will always have to have a hybrid model.
Right.
Because we will be able to reach more persons and create access. I think Abilities is poised to expand across Jamaica, and we would really love to use this platform to appeal to our partners to assist us in this expansion drive. But I think in the short term, with our online modality that we have now, we are able to reach not just students in Jamaica, but we can reach students that need this intervention in the Caribbean.
And the world, might I
And the
add.
world.
Yes, that is so exciting. I'm really, really happy to hear about what's happening at Abilities Foundation. And so persons who are out there who have your children, you have your young person, or even if you are an adult, because you've heard that the Abilities Foundation caters to persons anywhere over 17 upward.
Yes.
So, you have a place to go and to be trained and to be certified. So thank you for having stayed with us. We want to thank Managing Director of Abilities Foundation, Susan Hamilton, for having joined us today. Thanks also to our hard-working production crew. I'm your host, Dr. Christine Hendricks. See you next time.